Hey, everybody. Before we get started today, I just wanted to let everybody know that we actually are going to have some pretty cool stuff coming up. I'm real excited about the fact that we are, for the very first time, going to offer our numbers and estimating course outside of the academy. Like you don't have to be an academy member to join in on this. That's not going to be until closer to the end of October.
Yep.
Because we're polishing it up. We've taken in all the information and feedback that we have gotten from, 4 years of working with people going through this course.
Oh yeah, we've gone through and simplified things and just redid some of the spreadsheets, the calculators that are in there to make it even easier for you. So we're really excited about this. I think it's gonna be a great one-off product, so you don't have to be in the academy like Kitty said.
Yeah, you don't have to be, and it's going to be a 2-day live event where we're gonna walk you through it. So if numbers have ever sounded intimidating and you didn't really know even where to start or what you needed to be doing, no worries, we've got you covered. Just stay tuned for more information on that. Like I said, it'll be closer to the end of October, and we'll have the information on the podcast here and on all our social media and on our website. It'll be everywhere. Once we have that all officially nailed down. But I wanted to let you all, the podcast listeners, know in advance so that you can get that on your schedule. I'm thinking it will most likely be the last weekend in October.
Yep.
So write it in pencil just in case we change.
Yep.
But it is going to be great because that is really the number one thing that we've been helping people with.
Oh yeah, that's our top thing. People come to us. Most of the people want help with that.
And it's appropriate because it's really where you need to start, because there's really... not that there's no point in working on the rest of your business, but if you don't get your numbers set first, and then you're just kind of like slapping lipstick on a pig, because you can fix these other things, but if you're not making money, it still doesn't matter.
Well, that's one of the things we were told early on is just sell, sell, sell. Well, yes, it's good that you know how to sell, but if you aren't pricing your work properly, you're not making the money.
There's no point in selling jobs that you're not making money on. Yeah. So I think that was kind of like the idea of the time. Maybe when we received that advice, they were operating under the assumption that we knew what we were doing, but we did not. Yep. So that's why we always start with numbers, because we just don't want anybody else to kind of have to live through what we did.
And the biggest thing is we see people coming in is they think they're making money, they look like they're making money, but at the end of the year, they don't have any money in the bank.
The number of people that say "Oh my gosh, I had no idea." Mm-hmm. It's astounding. So anyway, get that on your calendar, like I said, in pencil for the last weekend in October, and we'll have more information about that as soon as we get it all nailed down. Yep. So we'll get a quick word from our sponsors, and then we will be back with 3 reasons why you aren't reaching your goals.
This podcast is brought to you by Busy Busy. Busy Busy is so simple to use, and it's the most reliable GPS time tracking app on the market. And the best part is, it was built for landscapers. Busy Busy's founder created Busy Busy because he owns multiple construction companies and needed to understand better which projects were making him money and which projects were killing him. Payroll is the highest variable cost in the project, so you better be tracking it. Busy Busy does this better than anyone else. So download Busy Busy today, and don't forget to mention the $1 Million Landscaper podcast to get 3 free months.
We want to take a quick second to tell you about our friends over at Cycle CPA. I can't even express to you how important it is to have a good accountant on your side. You know you want accurate bookkeeping and financial statements every month. Instead, you're often left with limited time to focus on the accounting side of your business and no reports to show for it. At Cycle CPA, the landscaping accountants, they not only handle the bookkeeping, but also provide landscape industry benchmarking, job costing, financials by service line, advisory meetings, and much more. Cycle CPA has a team of landscaping accountants available to provide anything from bookkeeping to CFO services. Visit cyclecpa.com, and for $100 off, mention the $1 Million Landscaper podcast. If you want to get the leads you want and turn your current clients into raving fans, then you need to try SendJim. They've created an exclusive offer just for our listeners. If you sign up today, you can get your first month for just $2. So if you haven't already, go to sendjim.io/MDL, where you can get even more exclusive deals just for $1 Million Landscaper podcast listeners. That's sendjim.io/MDL, and take advantage of these awesome deals today.
Okay, I maybe should have titled this 3 reasons why I'm not reaching my goals, because really what I wanted to share with you guys today is pretty much what I have learned in the past 6 to 8 months of really trying to figure out why I'm not always reaching my goals. I've never dove into goals and habits and that kind of stuff before. I would always just be like, oh, I'd set a random goal, and then if I accomplished it, I was happy. If I didn't, I would just beat myself up over it. I'd be like, did the usual. Why am I so dumb? Why am I so stupid? Why can't I do this? Like, what is going on? Why can't I get my crap together?
Just fighting the demons in your head, basically.
Oh, exactly. And so I just figured that I would share the things that I have learned from really taking a look at why I wasn't, not that I just want to talk about myself. I'm hoping that you all can gain from this as well. Just from what I have learned. And hopefully I can, course correct and move forward a little better now that I have just more of an understanding as to why I wasn't accomplishing these goals.
Gotcha.
Sound good?
Sounds good. Let's do it.
Okay. The number one reason that I have not been able to reach all my goals is because I never stopped and asked myself if I had time for this goal. I am a chronic goal setter. Is that a word? I set way too many goals. I'm very ambitious. But I can overdo it. And realistically speaking, probably nobody could accomplish everything that I always set out to do. And our poor dear 15-year-old son, I gave this to him too, because he's always coming at me with his list of things he wants to do. And, I can see it when he does it, when he's like, Mom, let's do this. And I'm like,
3:00 this afternoon.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And he wants it all done yesterday. I'm like, oh my goodness, you poor dear child. I'm like, you are your mother's son. And so if you have something that you have been wanting to accomplish and you haven't been able to do it and work on it and make that goal stick, have an honest conversation with yourself about, is this something that realistically fits into my schedule? Look at your calendar. Do you have time for this goal, or are you willing to make time for this goal?
And I think many business owners get on this, especially like when they're starting off in their business. They have all these ideas of, I can do this, and like offer this type of service, But you have to look at it like, do I know this service? Like, can I just go out and start doing it? Or do I have to like plan it out?
Well, right now we're working on time. So right now is, can you realistically...
But can you make the time to do this?
Make the time to do it.
If you have to make the time to learn it, do you have the time to do it? Like, if you don't know how to do hardscaping... Oh,
is that the point you're making? Is, if you don't know how to do it,
you have time to...
Well, you're kind of leading into number 2, but that's okay. It's okay. He doesn't always read the notes beforehand. But realistically, look at your calendar. I'm going to relate a lot of my examples to like health goals, because those are the ones I haven't been able to stick to. I'm pretty good at making work goals and getting those done. I am horrible about setting, just like health and exercise goals and sticking to those, because those are the ones that I always let slide and then I haven't made a priority. And honestly, some of the goals that I had set for this year, when I looked at my calendar, I didn't have room for them. I was overly ambitious. And when I set them at the beginning of this year, I did not have time in my calendar. There's only so many hours in a day. I didn't have time. And I have spent the last, 8 months working on adjusting my calendar. And so really going into this last quarter of the year, these last, 3-4 months of the year, I will hopefully have some more time to accomplish those goals. But it has taken me 8 months to create that time in my calendar. So don't beat yourself up. If you get real with yourself, if you look at your calendar and you're like, oh, wow, no, I don't have time for this. Well, what can you do to start making time? If it is that much of a priority, because the health, it's a priority. If anyone who's watching this on YouTube, you can see, I got a little chunky. I got a little out of shape. I'm not going to lie. And I know that it's happened, and I know I need to work on it. But it's honest to goodness taken me 8 months to get a hold of my calendar and to get it situated in a way that I will have time. I was not able to do it overnight.
Yeah. And this goes to anything. Like, if you need to take the time to learn how to understand your numbers in your business, you have to make that time. If you don't make the time, you'll never do it.
Well, you're going to have to uncommit to some things.
Yes.
You probably have commitments in your calendar that you might have to carry out. You can't just drop them on a dime. And so that might just take some time. And it might take time to get some help with those. So I guess my point is, don't think that you have to automatically magically open up your schedule like next week.
Yeah.
It might take time to rearrange your schedule.
Going back to the numbers thing, if you're a solo operator or it's you and one other person out in the field, you can't just like bail on your customers to go learn your numbers or do something else. You have to fulfill those commitments or
Right.
make adjustments to get that.
Might
stuff.
take you a season before you can hire some help.
Yep.
But once you do that, then you can open up some time in your schedule. But make sure if you do hire that help, you do open up that time in your schedule and use it for the things that you need to be doing.
Yes.
Don't just fill it with nonsense. I'm also good at just filling my time with nonsense. But anyway, it's not about me. So number 1, do you realistically have time for this goal? For real, look at your scavenger. That's your schedule and your calendar all in one word. Look at your scavenger and see if you do indeed have time for this goal. And if you do not currently, how can you start working towards making some time in your calendar? All right, the second reason that you aren't reaching your goals is because you're not making skill development part of the goal plan. So back to like Scott was talking about with the numbers. Do you actually know how to learn your numbers? And do you have the time in your schedule to learn them if you don't?
Yeah. Well, that's how we said we're going to create this 2-day event to learn your numbers. It's going to force you to create some time in your calendar and put it on a calendar and dedicate the time to work on it. And it's part of your, part of your plan. So you have to make the time and you have to develop the skill.
Because you might not have the skills and the knowledge that you need to accomplish this goal. Sometimes you just don't know what you don't know, and you need to get that information from people that do have it. So that the 2-day event is a perfect example, because that will give you a dedicated time block where you have accountability to show up, because that's when we're going to be teaching it. So if you want to learn it in an environment where you have the ability to speak with others and talk to other people that do know what they're doing, then you'll show up for that time block and you will acquire the skills that you need in order to accomplish the goal. And sometimes the things that you need aren't blatantly obvious. This was a big one that I learned, because I have the skills I know how to eat better. Everyone knows, eat how to not eat junk. Everyone knows how to do that. I know how to exercise. I was, believe it or not, a little bit of an athlete back in the day. Wouldn't know by looking at me now. So I know how to work out. I know how to eat. I know how to do these things. But guess what skills I don't have? I am not very good at, I haven't been the best at time management. I haven't been good at blocking out my schedule and prioritizing things that I need to prioritize. I'm not very good at urge management. And that's a new one for me that I kind of never really thought about, because I'm one of those people, if I'm like, if I start thinking about like, man, I could go for some like chips and salsa right now, I just go eat it. I don't have urge management skills to not go do it. I just kind of do whatever like pops into my head. And so that's something that I've been working on. So really pay attention to what you're doing and what is stopping you from those goals, because it might be skills that you just didn't, like, I just never really realized that urge management was a skill that you needed to have. And I always, I was like, always thought I was pretty good with my time, but I've realized that I could be a lot better. There was a lot more that I could do to improve my time management.
I think that's a big one for a lot of people.
It is. And we can have a whole nother discussion about scheduling and how to plan your day. But one of the skills that I've had to learn is keeping my word to myself. I'm very good at not keeping my word to myself. If I've kept my word, if I told myself I was going to either prep some meals or go to the gym or whatever, and something else comes up that I needed to do for the family, for you, for the kids, or pet the dog, whatever, I will let that override what I was going to do, the promise that I made to myself that I was going to go to the gym or that I was going to meal prep. So learning to keep my word to myself is a skill that I am still working on. So there's like little hidden skills that I honestly never thought about before.
Well, and not to make an excuse, but it's hard. Like for you have everything else going on today. You have the kids and everything else, and it's just hard. Like, yeah,
everybody's busy, and so I don't want anyone to feel bad about this. Like I didn't want this to be like, here's why you're not getting your goals. I'm being very open and honest and sharing like, this is why I've not been getting mine, because I think we're not different than everybody else. No. We're all busy. Everybody's busy. So hopefully you all can learn from my failures. So the number third reason why you're not meeting your goals is because your environment isn't set up to help you succeed. And this one happens all the time between Scott and I, because I have to remember to take like my vitamins, blood pressure medicine, all that, and it drives him bananas that I will leave it sitting out on the counter. But if it is not out on the counter, I will not remember to take it. I don't have my life set up. I can't remember to do things on my own. I still need visual cues.
This is a battle we have.
It is a battle.
I will just constantly take and put it away.
He will put things away, and then I'm like, man, when's the last time I took my vitamins? I'll be like, oh, it's been like 4 days, and it's because they're put away, and I just don't think about them. So I'm not saying you have to leave all your stuff out on the counter like I do. That is my preferred method until I make it a habit. I'm hoping eventually it will be enough of a habit that I can put it away and I remember. But the point is to set your environment up in a way that can help you reach your goals. And it doesn't have to just be like leaving vitamins out on the counter. Like another thing that I'm struggling with here is the fact that we have teenage boys. So we often have things like potato chips and, snackety snacks in the house. And I already mentioned earlier that I have no urge control. And so I need to figure out a way to set it up that we can have those snacks available to them in the house, yet I'm not snuckering my way in there every, couple hours to have some chips because I'm, avoiding checking email or something like that. Like, there's things that I need to do. Like I said, I need to work on myself to not do it. But I think there's probably a better way that we could set up how we've got things here in the house. So
yeah, and this goes into like setting up your environment. Could be if you find yourself getting on TikTok or checking Facebook or whatever it is.
Yes.
Get programs. There's apps out there that will block it and allow you or not allow you to get access to them or whatever it is. If it's email, turn off your email notifications on your computer so you're not checking those every 5 minutes.
Oh yeah,
or whatever
if it's pinging, you're going to want to go check it.
Yeah,
so.
Or even like I always look back at my dad. My dad's office was
it looked like a
mess.
tornado hit.
It was a mess, and like it would drive me crazy because he would have stuff here and there, and like, how do you find anything? It's just my way of organizing it. Well, is it really? But then to me, it's kind of distracting because you're looking over here and like, man, I should pick that up, but I need to be focused on this. If it's estimate or whatever it is, you just can't focus. So setting up your environment goes to anything you do. Like,
yes, one of the best things that I have started doing is I turn my phone ringer off and I put my phone in the other room. If I need to have a dedicated uninterrupted time block, I put my phone in the other room. I do have an Apple Watch, so if I could see if Scott's calling because grandma's in the hospital or kids are calling from school, if something majorly important comes through. But if I like look down like this and I see that the text is from my sisters, I don't even look at it. Nope. I don't even look at it.
Well, some people kind of get mad at me because I do turn my phone off and I don't check my messages till like later on in the day or sometimes not even then, just because otherwise it gets so distracting.
Too many distractions.
I have to focus on what I want to get accomplished. So it's you're right with the environment and it's hard.
You do, and look at who you spend your time with. It for me, it helps if I have friends that are also like, oh, we can, swap some healthy recipes. Or my one friend and I did a dog walk where we had to walk the dog. What was it? In the month of June, we had to walk 30 miles. Like, it was just nice to have a little accountability partner, that was willing to go out on these like longer dog walks with me. Usually we'd only walk because we walk the dog every night, but that's like half hour, 40 minutes. Her and I would go on, 3-4 mile walks. And so that was nice. So just, I guess I'm kind of lumping accountability and having friends in with your environment, but that's your environment.
It
yeah.
is. And, I could say inside the academy, it's nice because all those people that are in the academy, we have a private group, a community. Those people want to learn. They want to improve their business. So it's great to talk to those type of people. That's why I love, I always get excited when we do the live Q&As because, we'll talk and answer questions and then they'll get chatting about whatever it is. And it's always cool because they'll be talking to each other and helping each other out. And it's an awesome feeling.
Well, we have a very positive environment because everybody knows if you just get in the free groups on Facebook and get into any of the social media stuff, yes, there's a lot of great people out there, but there's always somebody that's being rude and like, why are you even in landscaping if you don't know this? That we've created an environment on purpose that has none of that because people don't know. People don't know, and we created an environment of learning and support.
Yeah. And this is something exactly what we're dealing with in our Landscape Business Owners Facebook group.
The free Facebook group.
And there's so many people in there, and it
gets unruly.
Yeah, and I honestly, it's my fault. I've kind of stepped away from it because I was focusing on other things, but it's kind of gone downhill because there's been so much negativity. I've actually been reached out to by many people about the group's kind of going downhill, and I do apologize, but it's one of those things that
At some point when there's so many people, we can't control all of it.
yeah,
But what we can do is create the environment that we want inside of our paid group, because those are the people that are dedicated. And so if you want a supportive group, they're out there. You can find it. Like I said, it is inside of our paid academy, but that's because, I mean, we can't control everything. I mean, the free group has like what, 12,000 people in it. There is no way we can. That is like a beast. We cannot control that. But just know that your environment matters. I'm also working on having a tidier office. It's not as bad as your dad's, but we're currently remodeling bathrooms in our house, and so I have like bathroom stuff like stacked on my desk, and it's like low key stressing me out more than I ever realized, because I'm like, it's just too much clutter and it's things that don't need to be here. My work environment is annoying me, and so just along the lines of work environment, make sure that you don't feel like, when you walk into your office and look at your desk, you don't want to feel a sense of dread and overwhelm. How can you make your environment a place that you like to be?
Well, and going back to your first point of time management, make the time, dedicate 15 minutes a day or whatever, 15 minutes this week of just cleaning up your office. You don't have to like do it all one now, because it sometimes could be overwhelming, especially if it's like my dad's office. It was a freaking mess.
Yeah, you might have to.
So you can't
nip at that in chunks, but
it'll drive you crazy. So just do a little bit at a time. So it goes back to everything kind of ties together like we talked about here today. So
it does. I read a great book called Willpower Doesn't Work, and that's where I got a lot of these ideas and kind of like the ahas of, oh wow, how your environment does matter. It really does. So those are my three biggest takeaways really of 8 months of really trying to figure out why. What's the matter with me? No, let's turn this into a therapy session. No, not what's the matter with me, but no, I was just getting frustrated with myself on why am I able to succeed in some areas of life and not others. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I have a natural tendency to go to work and dedicate and make the time and learn the skills to do those things. Personally, I'm learning that I've got a lot to work on when it comes to, like I said, integrity, self-integrity, and health goals and all that kind of stuff. But these were the three biggest takeaways that I kind of learned.
So again, they were just time management, skill development.
Well, time management, and do you just have time for it?
That's
like,
right, yes.
As a chronic oversetter of goals, like you might not have the time, and so if you don't have the time, is it a goal you need to keep? Yes or no? Then if it is a goal that you need to keep, then that's where the time management comes in, because you might have to create the time. Look at your calendar. That your calendar is your life. That's kind of another, we'll give this a bonus one. That's something that somebody told me, and that kind of really hit, because I always thought I had a pretty good handle on my life. And then when I actually thought about how I used my time and what I'm doing with my time, I'm like, oh wow, that is my life. And there's a lot of areas I can do better.
Sure.
So.
And then skill development?
The second one was making skill development part of the goal, because you can't accomplish a goal that you don't have the skills to accomplish. And it might be those sneaky little things, like I said, like I'm noticing I have problems with like urge management and being in integrity with myself. So there might be skills that you need to learn that you never thought about before. So keep that in mind, and make developing those skills part of the goal plan. Yep. And then the last one is your environment. How can you set up your environment to help you succeed?
Yep. So that's pretty much it. I think these are great things and great topics I think most of us can relate to. I think it's something that I know I can relate to a lot of these myself.
Yeah.
It's hard, and it just takes time, and don't expect it to like make this all happen overnight. It'll never happen.
Like I said, this has been 8 months of me trying to figure things out, and these were my biggest takeaways. So none of it's going to happen overnight. Yeah. So, all right, you ready for some fun questions?
Let's do it.
Okay, what things do you do every day that you wish could be automated?
Eliminate my junk email that I get.
Okay, so you need to hire an assistant to go through your junk email. This
I've
could
been,
be automated.
I'm subscribing like crazy lately, just because I get on lists and all of a sudden there are like 20 of them. I'm like, oh, go. So I just wish I could get rid of that.
Yeah.
It might be something I'm just not aware of it, besides hiring somebody.
Yeah. What's something that you've never been able to do well?
There's a lot of things. Let's see. Let's narrow it down. Personally or business wise?
You pick.
I've never been a good dancer. It's something I always kind of
Oh
like
yeah,
to do.
you're terrible
I
at
know.
dancing. That
It's
is
something I would like to learn, but it's not it's not on my priority list right now. So.
not right now. No, yeah, we'll save that for retirement. We can cut up the rug when
There you go.
when we retire. If you had a personal mascot, what would it be?
Personal mascot.
Yeah, like Team Scott, go Scott, go. What would your mascot be?
Like a figure? Like
I mean, my mind automatically went to like how high schools and colleges have mascots. What would your mascot be? Mine would obviously be a hedgehog. Like it's a kind of a no-brainer.
I would say some kind of dog of some sort, I guess.
Okay, all
I can see
right.
that.
Scott the dog. You heard it here.